And we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to go ahead and talk about, well, meditation, mindfulness, and the care of shoes and boots or footwear. This is going to be kind of interesting. I've never done anything like this, but it's something I kind of like to tackle. And I know that some of you will come aboard as we're doing the live session, and others will possibly view this later. So hopefully this will be a little informative, and we'll all learn something. Of course, those of you who do decide to join the chat, the live chat, please understand that I won't be able to answer your questions as you're presenting them. But at the end of the video, I will review the chat and try to answer your queries. So, and of course, this will be up on my channel. If you want to come back around later and see if I've answered your question, if you couldn't hang around, that'd be great. And I hope you enjoy this and maybe gain something like I gained from it during all the time that I spend with my footwear. So, looks like we have somebody aboard. Welcome aboard. I guess here we go. Hang on. So, let's turn this around and see what we've got here. We have a bag, and in the bag you can just barely see my new boots that arrived the other day. So let's go ahead and pull out and see what we've got here. We've got one old sock. You can see it here. You can see it has stains on it, and these stains are from the polish dye that I use. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. And then we have a couple of brushes. One is a cheap brush that you can usually pick up at whichever store. You can find them in grocery stores, or you can find them at Walmart or dollar stores. That's this one here. All right, nothing special about it. You can see that it's starting to get a little wear on it, a little character, and we'll show you what we're going to use that for pretty soon. And then the other brush, of course, is a Kiwi brand camel hair brush, and you can see it. It too is also kind of worn. I've had this brush for several years. It's been a good friend. I have two of them actually. I kind of rotate them around a little bit. Brushes like this are made of an animal fiber, a hair from camels, and these brushes are good for removing dust and helping to massage the leather. So we'll come back to that in a few minutes too. All right, let's see what else we have. All right, we have some Rallian leather polish, which is shoe care. This is a kind of a combination of dye and wax, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. And let's see here. Let me set that aside for another minute. We have another container of Rallian wax. It's a different color. It's black, or leather polish. We often call it wax, but yeah, it's a leather polish, and it has a dye in it. But it's produced by the same company, but it is black instead of the burgundy or red color of the first one. And this is a third container. It's just a different brand. This is Meltonian, which is shoe and boot cream and polish. It's pretty much the same color as the Rallian, but there's really no difference to it. And you can get this at a very good shoe store like Grumman's and Vincennes. And fortunately, they keep me in good supply of this if I need it. So it's a blessing to have this. So what else do we have? Here we have a couple of toothbrushes. You can see this one here is stained black, all right, and that's because it's been used for the black shoe cream and polish. And then this one here has a bit of a burgundy tint to it, or red tint, and of course that's used for the red. Those are the only two colors I use, are either black or the red. But you can find shoe and boot polishes and creams in just about every color under the rainbow. And in addition to this, we also have, this is I'm trying to remember what it's called. You can usually pick them up in the drugstore or in the drug section of a store. But it's my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. But basically what it is, you would wrap this around your arm or your leg to help bandage it and to protect it, or protect the bandages under it. It's quite long. It has, you can see, like I said, it's quite long. Of course, on the back side of it and on the front side, you can see some stains here as well. You can also use this to apply a little bit of polish wax if you don't happen to have a sock. When I do it, I always go towards the ends. The back side of it has more elastic to it than the front side, and you use something like this when you're really working towards a high gloss on your shoes or boots. So yeah, so that's what that is. And then also we have some, this is what's called black rock, and you can see it cleans, softens, and preserves the finest finished leather. You don't want to use this on suede. This is for leather that you're going to polish, or at least want to preserve. This jar I've had this jar for several years now, but it's nearly exhausted. I was fortunate enough to get another container of it just a few weeks ago to replenish. Back in the day, I actually used to give this stuff away to people who asked me about their boots, because I always recommend it. It's an excellent preservative, and helps to literally feed the leather. As you can see, it is quite expensive. $14.99 for that little jar. But it will pay dividends. It will definitely pay dividends. And of course, the instructions are on the back. Yeah, it's great stuff. So, and of course, in the bottom of the boot bag, or the bag that I'm carrying my boots in, are the new boots. And these were the boots that were made for me. Let me go ahead and move that bag out of the way so you can see them. These were the boots that were made for me by the craftsmen and women at Grunman Shoes. And if you've never had the experience of having shoes made specifically for you, it is something that is quite a blessing. It's a very, very humbling thing to have shoes that are made for you. These people take their work very, very seriously, and they're a blessing to us all who need handmade boots and shoes. Yeah, and of course, if you've heard me in one of my other videos, I can get quite emotional talking about Grunmans and all shoemakers. Yeah, shoes are indeed possibly the most important article of wear that we have. So, let's take a look at them for a second. Now these boots already have a dye to them. They're not polished though, all right? Although it is a smooth leather, you can see a slight gloss, but not a high gloss, all right? This gloss is adequate, but it really doesn't preserve the leather or the shoe, and it needs some help. This is no fault of Grunman's. This is how boots and shoes used to be produced. The shoe and boot builder, they can only take their work so far, and then it's up to us as the people who buy these things to take stewardship of them and to begin to care for them. And it's a bit of a journey to go from this type of a presentation to the gloss that you can see on the boots that I'm wearing right now. Of course, they're a little dirty. I just got done mowing the lawn. And yes, I actually wear polished boots to mow the lawn. It's not like I have a whole fleet of boots at this time. But yes, I do mow the lawn and do pretty much everything with these same boots. And these will join my serviceable shoes. I really only have 3 pairs, and you're looking at 2/3 of them right now. The third pair isn't here right now. Of course, they're over at Grunman's being resold. So, but back to these boots, I want to bring some things to your attention. The first thing that you need to take a look at, and you need to be aware of, are these edges. All right. You can see that these edges are fresh cut, and there is nothing there to seal them. They do need to be sealed, or at least be fed, because this edge here begins to oxidize right away. And looking around the boot, you can see that also extends here. And I'm afraid I don't know my shoe and boot nomenclature very well, but you can also see the rough edge there. That also needs to be taken care of. And of course, back here, where it comes down like that. And the same on the other side. Now, the other thing you need to be aware of, and I don't know if you can see it very well, is, of course, during the manufacture of the boot, and these boots are, the leather that they're made from is pre-dyed, all right? But during the manufacturing process, there can be a little bit of scuffing that takes place here. You can see that little light mark right there. And we're going to go ahead and feed that little light mark here in a few moments. And then you can see the rough edge across here. All right. Now, these are the places that need the most attention. Not only because they're rough edges and the leather can begin to deteriorate there, but also these are seams. And these seams to be cared for so that the boot becomes as waterproof and can keep your feet as dry as possible. Although it's a nice early summer day, a little bit overcast and humid, we have to think ahead, and we have to think about winter. And right where my thumb is there, you can see another one of those little blemishes. But don't look at them so much as blemishes. Look at them as character. They add to the patina of the boot, even though it's brand new and has only been worn for a moment when I tried them on. And of course here, you can see another little spot where there is some leather that is exposed. So these things need to be cared for, and they need to be taken care of. And if you look here, you can see another little blemish here. All right. It's important that we don't blame the shoemakers or the people who care for our feet for these things. Nothing that man makes is perfect. But the imperfections add to the character of what it is we have. So we're just going to make a quick inspection here. All right. And mind you, right now it's very, very high humidity where I am. That's why that helps make it able for me to make this video now. If it was hot and dry, I could make the video, but it would be entirely different because you have to work with the weather, and in particular with the humidity and the temperature when you're caring for boots and shoes. So let's go ahead and get started. Now this is work that you're going to get dirty doing. The first thing you want to do, get an apron or something. This is an old apron from back in the day when I worked at a restaurant, and I managed to keep it, and it's kind of handy. It has big pockets and everything. But the first thing we want to do is we want to take our camel hair brush and go ahead and just make sure that there's no dust or anything on the boot. Now, I would love to show you me doing this, but I don't have anything to really hold my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and set the phone down for a moment and go ahead and brush the boots. And you'll be able to hear me. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier if I had someone here to hold the phone and help me do it. But you just simply, take and start brushing. All right, just gently. You're just taking and removing the dust, and they will get dusty amazingly quick. But you're removing the dust, and you're just brushing the shoe and trying to make sure that there are no contaminants, so to speak, on the shoe. Just nice and gentle. Imagine that you might be brushing or massaging a horse or a pet. Because in a funny sort of way, you are. There was an animal that once had this for their skin, and we need to be mindful of those sacrifices too. And the people who harvested this. It's dirty work, and it's not for everyone. You can see there's a little bit of a white material there, but I'm sure that's only like an ash or maybe even a contaminant. A little bit of water might have dripped onto that, because we are getting a little bit of a spitting rain, and sometimes it drips underneath the awning. And let's do the same with the other boot. Okay. Just kind of brush it, just nice and gently. I'm trying to do this single-handed. Usually it takes two hands, but you want to take care of the tongue. And one of the things you'll notice is that not all the leather is the same. Different portions of the hide come from different parts of the animal. Of course, they come from different parts of the animal. Some of the leather, of course, like this here, you can see that it is it's supple. It may even be from a different animal that had more supple skin. That's because this part of the boot or the shoe needs to flex, and it rests against the front of your foot, which can be quite tender. But the sides and the toe and the heel, of course, need to be made of a stiffer leather in order to protect your shoe. And then, of course, it's a lot thicker than the material in the tongue. Again, right here you can see another little blemish. Like I said, these aren't necessarily defects. These are just simply things that add to the character of the boot and should remind us that, like I said, nothing that man makes is perfect. None of our thoughts are perfect either. But if we work together, we can still make imperfect things beautiful. So we've gone ahead and brushed the boots. I'm going to go ahead and put the boot down for a second and set this camel hair brush aside. Now that's not the only thing you're going to use this camel hair brush for, because once the shoes are polished and glossed, you're still going to use this brush to brush off just everyday dust. The same thing for the other little brush that I showed you earlier. Let me see if I can reach over here and get it. Where did I set that down? Oh, there it is. It's kind of camouflaged. See, I have this little chair with everything on it. But this here too. Sometimes if you get into mud or a soil like we have around here, which is largely clay-based or sedimentary-based, there's things that get stuck on the boot that you need to scrub a little bit to get off. And interestingly enough, if you use a good polish, which I'll come to in another video, you can actually get a lot of stuff off and actually polish your boot to a very high gloss just using one of these. But like I said, we'll come back to that in another video. All right. So let's go ahead and see if I got the right jar of Rollion. I use the Rollion polish. Either of the shoe creams and polishes are good. They're virtually identical. The Meltonian actually has a more renowned reputation, but the Rollion is also very, very good. And let me just take a look here. I'm taking a look at the color, and I'm trying to see in the natural light whether there's much difference between them. There can be just a shade of difference. And I know the Meltonian was the Meltonian red was the color that was actually used. Oops. Or it was the color that was actually used in the production of these specific boots. My other two pairs were made with the Rollion color. And if you look here, if you look through the glass, let me see if I can do this with one hand. Get it turned. You can see the ever so slight difference. The Rollion color, which is on the left, is a little more rusty in color, where the Meltonian is a little bit more purple. Both colors, of course, suggest the color of blood. And since we're going to be addressing the little blemishes first, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and use this Meltonian to try to address those blemishes. So let's do that. Now the Rollion we'll come back to later, this Rollion just red, because that's the color that was used on these shoes and boots. Once they get their patina, they'll probably be so close in color that they will be almost indistinguishable. Now, I'm going to have to set the phone down for a moment, so just bear with me. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because my whistle's getting a little dry. It really is a beautiful, beautiful overcast and just wonderful afternoon here in Southeast Illinois. I hope it is where you are too, no matter whether it's sunny or overcast or rainy. I hope you find it beautiful as well. I'm going to take off my glasses here. Bear with me. I'm just opening the jar of the shoe and boot cream polish. And the thing is, we have to give thanks for all these things. We have to be mindful of these things as gifts. Because without them, we would have no shoes or boots for our feet. Okay, now you can see this, and this is the lid, and you can see the cream polish that's in the top of the lid. Yeah, and that's the cream polish. It's amazing stuff when you think about it. And we're going to go ahead and apply just a little of that to the blemish that's right there. And of course, we're going to get some of it up in there, but we're not going to focus on that. We're just basically focusing on the little blemish that's right here. And you can, of course, use the toothbrush, one of the toothbrushes to do this. It doesn't take very much, but I'm kind of old school. I'm not afraid to dip my finger into it. When I do this, mindful, I remind you, I'm kind of mindful of the color because it does suggest the color of blood. And I think about those of the generations before us that have sacrificed so much that that we may have these things. And I humble myself when I think about that. I think we all should, no matter what color you choose. So let's take and apply just a little bit here and massage it in. Okay, and just let that set and meditate for a while. It takes a little time for that to be absorbed into the leather itself. So we're going to do that there, and maybe a little here. Just back and forth, back and forth. Okay. And you can see another little blemish back here. And you can see just how far this this cream polish can go. And it looks like that's pretty much all we need to tend to on this boot, on this one. So let's set that aside. And let's take a look at this one again. And of course, we can see a couple of marks, a couple of little blemishes, right here and right here. So let's go ahead and feed those a little bit. Just give it a little circles. And go here. Just gently massage. There. And we're looking for other places that might need a little care. Just a little love. It's a little spot back here. It's a little hard for me to hold the boot in my knee and do this one-handed, but we can get there. Just right in there. I'm just using the very tip of this. There. You can't hardly see where that little mark was. And of course there's a little black that's here, but I'm not going to do anything about that. We'll just let that add to the character of our boot. And you can see a couple more places. We're going to take and add just a little bit more polish wax. And I'm going to show you a neat trick if you happen to be a smoker. All right. You can see how, this is a toothbrush. All right. And if you're not a smoker, a toothbrush works. But if you are a smoker like I am, you can actually take a filter from a discarded cigarette and peel back the filter. And this is made of usually cotton or maybe a little bit of another fiber. And it can be actually easier to manage than a toothbrush. So we're going to try this. And I don't recommend that anybody take up smoking, but if you know somebody that do, they can help you out a little bit. And we're going to take, you can see that mark there, and we're going to massage this into there. And you can see that you actually have a little bit more control there, and you're not using as much polished wax. The other nice thing about doing it this way is that you're not using so much, and it actually blends in with the rest of the shoe or the boot color more quickly and dries more quickly. Already you can see how it's begin to soak into the leather. But you have to be careful when you do this, because this actually has somewhat of an abrasive quality, and you can actually end up taking some of the dye off the leather itself. So let's go back to the toothbrush. And we're going to go ahead and apply a little bit more to that area. And a lot of this is one of those things that you have to develop a sense of touch for. It's not something that's automatic. All right. So we've got that there. And we're going to go ahead and just going to spread it around. And now it looks like we've pretty much got this one treated. And you can see that there's still a little bit of a light spot there where the wax and cream have already been absorbed into the boot. So we're going to give it a little bit more of a massage. Come back around to the other boot and take a look and see how things are settling in. Okay. And this is starting to look pretty good, really. And the nice thing about doing this on a humid day is that the volatile material that's in the polished wax, or shoe cream, I should say, doesn't evaporate so quickly. It has more time to actually be absorbed into the leather itself. So, all right. So let's go ahead and put the lid back on our polish wax. And that's the thing. You don't want to keep this open for very long, particularly if you're in a dry environment, because the volatiles evaporate quite quickly out of this. So you want to keep it covered and keep it sealed. And this is not wanting to pop down in. There it goes. You can hear my neighbor's air conditioner kick in. And we can still hear the birds. So let's set aside our toothbrush over here. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and take our sock and see if we can remove some of the excess. And it's important that the sock be relatively clean, that it not have any lint or anything in it, because simply put, that lint will go into the shoe cream or shoe polish and contaminate it and cause you to, of course, have lint or hair or anything like that that's actually attached or buried in the wax. You can see one little hair right there. Maybe get rid of that. And my big problem is the fact that I'm a hairy guy. I shed more than dogs do. It's incredible. And it usually happens while I'm doing stuff like this, so it's kind of humorous. And it's also kind of humbling in itself. So. Let's go ahead and take a look here. And we're going to just go ahead and wrap this around our finger a little bit, if I can. Sometimes it's easier to use the middle finger because you can hold the excess. Or in fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and set the phone down again, and I'm going to actually run my hand up into the sock. So stand by with me for just a moment if I do that. Excuse the lack of a really good image to show you. We're just kind of winging this and having some fun. Giving thanks. Whoops. So you can see here, I put the sock up, up over my hand, and I've picked a clean spot right here. And I'm going to work my fingers around and see if I can gather up some of the excess, or at least get a little tension on that. And we're going to come right here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to massage that some more. Just take some of the excess. And of course, there's a little bit of not a perfect match, but the important thing is that we're actually helping to care for the leather beneath it. We're being mindful of the sacrifice of the animal and the people who work to keep us fed. And in this way, we help the animal live far beyond its normal life. And there you can see that, for the most part, you can't see that blemish, and the leather beneath it is fed. And here you can see where I had actually rubbed. Now, you can also see, because this is a cotton fiber, and cotton is a plant fiber, you can see with the lint that the cotton fiber shed right in through there. You just barely see it. All right, you can see that cotton fiber. So we're going to go ahead and try to address that. I need to take the sock back off to do that. So we'll address that in just a couple of minutes. Let's go ahead and go to this area here. And just massaging. Just not thinking about much, just gentle little round strokes. Now you can still see the blemish, all right, but it is not so much as pronounced. All right. If we work this, it will gradually darken. There. Now you can still see there's still a little bit of a blemish, but it's not as light as it had been. And it will darken yet even more. Let's see if I can get... The other thing that'll help it is if you give it more time. But yeah, you can see how that's beginning to fade, and it's getting to be kind of hard to see, which is the whole idea. But like I said, nothing is perfect. And take a look at the other side of the boot. See if there's other areas that we might have missed. I think we've got one here. And it's mostly been taken care of just by handling the boot. And that's one of the reasons why you want to wear an apron, because this can get to be really messy really quick. You don't want to stain your good clothes or even your not so good clothes. But your apron can take the stains. That's what it's there for. A person running around with a clean apron just means they don't do anything. Yeah. So you can see that's taken care of. Now we're going to come around to this here. And yeah, you can see where I applied it with the cigarette butt. You can see how that's pretty much already soaked in. It's a little darker, but that will blend in during the next step. So here we go. It's hard to make little circles when you're up against a raised portion of the leather, but you should try. You should dig your nail in not too hard, just pressing your nail gently up against where it comes together. Okay, you can see we still have a bit of a blemish there. But that will disappear. It's just hard for the leather to absorb the polish or the shoe cream because it is so humid, and the leather itself is somewhat saturated because of that humidity. There you go. There's a little bit of a blemish there. But it's just here for the moment. Just like we all are. Things are so temporal. Okay. Now, before we go to the next step, one of the things you're going to need, and by the way, what you just missed was just me massaging a little bit there. But what you're going to need is you're going to need to make sure that you've got a place where you have, how can I put it? You have a place set aside, maybe some newspaper spread out, because this next step involves the application of the black rock, and it's somewhat messy. So anticipate that. Know that you're going to get this stuff on your hands, and it's greasy. It's petroleum based, which of course means comes from uh, from crude oil. Back in the day, and still today, if you can still find it, mink oil was the most sought after shoe preservative. It was a natural substance. The oils themselves were akin to the oils that naturally occurred in most all animals, including us as humans, and they worked very well to preserve fine leather. And yeah, I know that animal rights activists, are concerned for the use of mink for garments. Of course, they're very expensive and sometimes sought as a status symbol. But even those of us who don't wear mink still benefit from mink. And by using these materials, which are natural materials when you think about it, as we all are, they're just as natural as the fibers from trees or the vegetables we eat. We actually can work together to keep used plastic footwear out of landfills, or to keep other forms of footwear out of the trash that, although they may be advertised as better for the environment, may not be so good for us as humans and for our feet. So, I'm going to take another sip of coffee. Just a moment here. And mind you, it's decaf. So there you go. And I'm going to begin to show you how I apply the black rock. Like I said, I would prefer to use mink oil, but finding good mink oil without lanolin. It's important that you use a preservative that does not have lanolin in it. Most mink oil you find today does have lanolin, which helps to soften the leather. All right, and this does too. But lanolin will break down leather. It will cause it to age prematurely. Lanolin will, how can I put it? It softens things, but it does that by loosening the molecular bonds that hold the fiber together. And as a result, using a product that does have lanolin added to it actually accelerates the degradation of your footwear or any fine leather good. So, now the instructions for black rock, at least on this jar, say to take a paper towel and to dip it in there and spread it about. You can do that. Nothing wrong with that. You can even use a toothbrush if you'd like. But I'm somewhat of a tactile person. I like to feel what it is that I'm working with. So I actually use my fingertip. And I'm blessed and cursed, depending on how you look at it. But my fingers are quite small. Some would say that I have lady fingers. My hand breadth isn't so wide as where I could play piano. They'd be excellent for playing piano, but they'd have to be really little keys, and I can't read music anyway. But I've always had somewhat small hands, and they've served me well. So let me go ahead and see if I can open this with one hand. I might. Oh, come on. Sometimes sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to have to set the phone down just a second. Excuse me. All right, and here you can see the open jar of black rock. Now I'm going to set this aside here on this side, just simply because, well, here, let me do this. Since we're not going to be using our brushes, we're going to take those and put them together like that and set them over here for the moment. And because I'm right-handed, I'm going to go ahead and set the black rock. Excuse me. Sorry for obscuring the lens. But we're going to go ahead and set the black rock over here. Okay, so there it is. Nice place. In fact, there's a little gadget right there. I can set it right down inside that little container. And we're going to take my middle finger, which is the longest. We're just going to dip it down there. We're going to just moisten our fingertip with a little bit of that black rock. It feels a lot like petroleum jelly, and it probably is very similar to it. But we're going to start up here in this corner, and we're going to start feeding this cut leather, giving it a chance to absorb that black rock. It's important you don't get too much at once. You just want to moisten your fingers. I mean, eventually this stuff goes everywhere. It's kind of messy, but it does help preserve the leather. And you want to address those cut edges. And how I do this is I alternate. I go back and forth between boot and boot and section and section. All right. And what that does is it actually gives the black rock a chance to, get absorbed in there. And if you're interrupted for some reason, at least you have more of a chance of knowing that you've applied it in an even manner. And it will darken the shoe or the boot somewhat, or the leather. That's to be expected. Remember, the exposure to light will cause things to lighten, and this helps to preserve and restore the dark color. But that lightening, even that in itself, that helps to create the patina. Now we've done that on that boot. All right, and that's the outside of the left boot we started with. Now let's go to the outside upper part of the right boot and do the same, which will be this side. So we take a little bit more black rock, just enough. You can hear the rain gently falling. It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon to do this. Just gentle. Back and forth. As long as you can feel your fingers slide, then you know you have enough black rock. Now I can feel it starting to dry out and get rougher and more resistance as I get down here. That's because I'm literally running out of black rock on my fingertips. So we're going to take and add just a little more, just a touch, just that much. You can barely see it. And we're going to go ahead and start. It's just like painting. And you can see the leather darkens and it starts to lay down. Here you can see where it's still cut. All right, and where it's fresh, the cut is relatively fresh. And we're wanting to address that. Okay, and you can see up here where it's smoother. All right, it's starting to lay down and calm down, just as though you're massaging an animal or you're massaging someone else. It's a very calming thing. And yeah, looks like I got a little bit too much there. That's not an issue. You can take that. Or eventually the whole boot will be gently massaged in black rock. And now we're going to go to the inner side of the upper, where that's been cut. And this is not a quick process either. It may be up to a week before these shoes are actually ready to be worn. There's a lot of dwell time in this. It's one of the reasons why you really need 3 pairs. My first 2 pairs are very quickly going to arrive at the point where they will have to be treated with saddle soap, and a lot of the wax and the polish and all that will come off when you start to deep clean your shoes and boots. You can see it's starting to get in there. We're just going back and forth. We should be doing little circles like that. But the important thing is that the leather is fed. And there you can see how that starts to darken up. Okay. Eventually, this type of thing can actually become somewhat addictive. You can find yourself wanting to do this because it's so meditative. It's a healing thing. You're actually healing the leather. And you're giving thanks as you do this. I know I am. So there's that. And now we'll do the inboard side. Rearrange my apron here. It has a tendency to migrate. There. Let's give it some more black rock. I'm going to start at the bottom and work up this time, just for eagles. Time flies when we have fun. My gosh, we've almost spent an hour already doing this. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I hope you're all enjoying your days and whatever it is that you're doing as much as I enjoy doing this. And of course, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask in the chat. And we'll address those as we get close to the end. Okay. Now you see how I've applied the black rock here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to apply some down here across where the tongue comes down to the toe portion. Already I've got a little on there. And for that stage, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my finger first And then we're going to actually use the same cigarette butt that we had used before. And that's because it's a small concentrated area. Well, actually, I take that back. Instead of using the cigarette butt, we'll go ahead and use the toothbrush. All right, we'll use the toothbrush that has the reddish color dye already on it. So give me just a minute or two, and then I'll wipe off my finger, and we'll go ahead and get some more black rock on here. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'll tell you what. Actually, we've been at this for 1 hour, 1 minute, and 20 seconds. And I know that there's 3 of you watching, and I've just now noticed that 2 people have left likes, and we thank you very much for that. But I'll be honest, because I'm doing this one-handed, and I'm also making the video at the same time, and talking through it, I need to rest my mouth and my tongue. So I'm going to take a break for a few minutes. And right now it is, for those of you who understand world time, it is approximately 21, coming up on 21:30, Universal Time Coordinated. And I'm going to go ahead and, for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and end the live session. But I will be back shortly. And if you want to tune back in and watch more of this, you're more than welcome to. Just go ahead and you could subscribe to my channel and put a notification bell up temporarily. Just don't forget to take the notification bell off, or else you'll get a notification ding every time I put up any kind of a video. But or just simply hang around and, well, how can I put it? Like I said, use the notification bell, or check back in on my channel in maybe 10 minutes or so, and we can resume this. Or you can go on about your day, whichever your choice. Until the next time I see you, and we have a chance to visit. Oh, by the way, I needed to answer my questions. I almost forgot. Sorry. 12 Sadhana Yoga said, sup, bud? I hope they're having a great day. I'm doing fine. And Gayatriz says, say my name. I hope I did that right, Gayatriz. And hello back. Rando said, is that a handbag? And then later said, no, that's a backpack. Nope, it's neither one. It's just a little bag that I carry my boots in. And of course, Michael Holmes, who joined me earlier today, said good morning and asked me how I was doing. And I'm doing just fine, Michael. I hope you're having a great day too. So that's going to be it. It seems like there's no questions about shoe and footwear, but we'll be back probably in about 10 or 15 minutes. And but that'll be it for this video, and part 2 will be coming up shortly. Until then, good luck, Godspeed, and we'll see you around town.